Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Unfiltered Life. Again, I'm still on the shift, so creating another episode because fuck else I gotta do. You know what I mean? So, anyways, obviously that's ironic and it's funny because I'm working right now. So, anyways, it's fucking hot in here, but I'm doing this for y'all. I don't have the AC unit blowing loud or that loud, even though I'm sweating in here because it fucks with the audio. So for this one, I think we can turn it into a video of both, what was I saying in the past one? Controversial opinions, or, personal beliefs, but then, controversial opinions. Fuck it, why not? So anyways, I was having a conversation with someone recently, and at the end of that conversation, they were very complimentary, right? They understood that I had been through a lot growing up, and that is also something that has molded my opinions, but at the same time, they also understand that they were an individual that said, well, what are some controversial opinions you have? And as I told them, they were like, what? Never heard that one. Okay, explain, whatever. And then at the end of it, they were like, okay, no, I can see that. It sounds a little crazy, but I can see that, right? Well, first off, something that I believe in that I don't think is that controversial, it's just an opinion, is that federal income taxes or property taxes is just straight bullshit, right? First off, the money that you get, I think a lot of taxes are bullshit, but there's a lot of things that need to change versus us just having taxes. The fact that the U.S. will go into a recession if we don't have a war, because our wartime budget is so fucking massive and makes up a lot of the stuff that we do. I think that's crazy, but whatever. It's not like we're gonna fix that anytime soon. Federal income taxes, and I can understand like the thing for Medicare or Medicaid. I can understand it, and it's not that much, but federal income taxes is just fucking crazy, right? Now, there's no state taxes in Texas, so I don't have to worry about that. But for it being in, like, California, or how high taxes are in California, and how much money people lose, and then this thing about the New York, the guy that's, like, gonna be mayor or becoming mayor or running for mayor or some shit, how he wants to tax all the businesses and stuff, and he's driving them out of New York. That's fucking stupid, right? That's something that you can obviously see is going to backfire. It's fucking stupid, right? Because when you think about it, let's think about it like this. If I'm someone that has created their own business, and you say, well, if you're going to be a business in my state, I'm going to tax you an additional, let's just fucking throw out a number, 30%, right? On your yearly revenue, right? Let's just say that means you get taxed fucking $30,000. Okay, cool. Now, you get taxed $30,000 to be in a state. What's harder to do? Or what is a better thing to do as a business owner? Which obviously, as a business owner, you got to make more money to be able to stay in business. Or you got to make money to be able to stay in business. And you're not going to say no to more money, right? What's the better decision as a business owner to do? Is it, hey, move your headquarters or move whatever into a different state and set up shop? Is it risky? Yeah. But at the same time, if there's that market and you're able to bring the same competitiveness, save yourself $30,000 or spend $30,000 and just stay there, right? Now, and if anything, if you try to go somewhere else and it doesn't work and it costs more or whatever, market's not the same or whatever, you could just move back, right? Would it suck? Yes, but in the long run, is it going to be worth you over 1 year spending X amount? Probably not, right? So, obviously we could see that was going to be stupid from the start, and a lot of New York business owners have left. So, I think another non-controversial thing is getting rid of those taxes, because the thing is that, and I kind of tie this into a historical thing, which is Reaganomics. Reaganomics, I believe Ronald Reagan was definitely, at least in my personal belief, he was a good president. But he did triple the national debt. The reason being is because he cut taxes by so much. However, what he called it was Reaganomics, or trickle-down Reaganomics. And what that is that by cutting taxes on everyone, more people would spend more money into the economy and into businesses. By those businesses, then creating more jobs and more people having more money, they're going to start putting more money into the community, into everything, right? Because they're going to have more money to buy more shit with, right? Cool. And with that being said, then by how returning or giving, by how much money was going to be going into the economy, we would be able to use, I guess, the surplus to be able to attack our debt and pay shit off. Now, that tripled the national debt, right? So you could look at that and go, well, that didn't fucking work. And I wouldn't say that worked, but I wouldn't say that it wouldn't have worked. I think the thing about trickle-down Reaganomics is that it's a slow trickle, right? It's a slow thing. And it's something that would work, but it's not going to work in 4 to 8 years. It's going to work in fucking 15 to 30, right? It's like a fucking mortgage. It's going to work over time, or it's going to be advantageous over time, but in the immediate future, now you just have a fucking big-ass payment. Or whatever, right? So anyways, and then property taxes. You owning a home, if you pay off that home, per year you still have to pay to be able to own that home. And you don't pay, that home can then be taken from you. Which is bullshit, right? But let's get to an actual controversial opinion. Do I think this should be controversial? No. But is it very kind of crazy to think about? Yes, right? Or at least to hear someone. And this was the one type of opinion that made that person go, okay, tell me more. Okay, I've never heard someone say that. One of my personal beliefs, right, is that we should bring okay, one of my personal beliefs, there they are, okay. One of my personal beliefs is that we should bring back public executions. And the reason being is because obviously, does that mean that everyone that's put on death row won't have an appeal fucking system or anything like that? No, that's not what that means. But obviously, there's a queue, right? In my opinion, there should be like 2 lists for death row. There should be immediate, yeah, this motherfucker's guilty, X, Y, and Z, versus one where it's maybe, I don't want to say not so important, because if you're put on death row, it's probably fucking for a good reason, right? But there should still be a list for appeals and stuff like that, like we have right now. But no one should be waiting fucking 30 years on death row and then die of natural causes with being on death row, which is why they say death row is not a death sentence, which I think is fucking stupid, right? There's a reason we got death row. And one of the reasons that I've been able to reinforce my opinion on this is that there was recently and I think this individual got sentenced to death. I think he was a FedEx or like a FedEx driver or something like that, that kidnapped this kid and then sexually abused her in the back of his truck. And listening to the tapes or hearing or just seeing, just now obviously you can't see what he was doing, but you can hear it. And I think it's not only is it something that is horrendous and absolutely a difficult thing to hear or conceive or even think about, or I'm sorry, they're the same thing, but something to think about, but it's something that no individual that is doing that to a kid should be allowed to draw any more breath. At the least. Now, would I say those are the individuals that deserve being tortured? Sure, I would say that. But at the very minimum, they at least deserve to not continue living. And that's why I understand why so many families exact revenge on those specific individuals, whether it's killing them themselves or actually, taking it into their own hands and kidnapping them, torturing them, stuff like that. I can understand it. Now, do I think that should be the norm? Not necessarily, but do I understand why someone would do that, considering that? Yes. And I can't necessarily blame the family of the victim for doing that. Now, obviously, again, there's a different thing. Like, and it kind of goes into me wanting to bring back public, why I want to bring back public executions, is that we've become, and including us, England has become such a disappointment, right? Our justice system has become something that has been very weaponized towards specific individuals of certain beliefs versus the individuals that actually deserve punishment of death. Including England. England has become such a place that has been overrun by so many individuals that are causing mayhem, causing the crime rate to go up, and causing England or London or all these fucking places and wherever, right, in Europe, to be places that are unlivable. With that being said, the reason I believe public executions should be brought back is, why were they a thing in the first place? Was it something that was like a show? Like, you took your kids to go watch and shit? Yes. Do I think that was cool? No, right? That's weird. But at the same time, do I think that it was a deterrent for people doing things? Yes. And the reason I say that is because of a specific example, right? Me personally, I never did drugs growing up, right? And the reason being is because I was always afraid, I was always afraid of my stepdad. I was always afraid of, well, what if I get caught? Well, what if, right? And so, because I was so afraid of getting caught or whatever, I didn't even entertain the idea of, well, what if it's relaxing? Or, like, so many people throughout my life said, I'm so tense, they believe that I should try weed because it would mellow me out, or it would make me less tense, or make me less angry, or whatever, right? And could I have fallen into that and said, okay, you're right, let me do it? Yeah. But because I was so afraid of what would happen if I got caught, I never did it. And so it's the exact same thing, is that these people, kind of like How to Catch a Predator, right? How to Catch a Predator apparently was canceled because a senator or something was caught trying to talk to underage kids and stuff like that, and so then they canceled the show. I don't believe that they should have canceled it because of that. They should have broadcast that and said, to allow people to understand that regardless of your socioeconomic status, or regardless of what your position of power is, or regardless of anything, whether you have billions of dollars like fucking Prince Andrew, or whether you have hundreds of millions or billions of dollars like Jeffrey Epstein, regardless of who you are, it's always something to look for. And it's not your status that, or your money, that disproves what you're capable of, but it's how you represent yourself and how you are as an individual. And even at that, that's not always a telltale sign. But I do believe that if we did public executions, that it would deter people from doing certain things, because they would see, oh shit, like, hey, this guy got caught. It's kind of like this guy got caught back then stealing bread, right? Well, shit, he's being hung right now. That doesn't look good. Let me not steal some fucking bread, right? Let me be smarter about the decisions that I make. It's the exact same thing. So I think that any individual that is a pedophile, a necrophiliac, cannibalism, fucking a serial killer, because you can be a murderer and not be a bad person, and the specific reasoning behind that is because it's why we've created the term of self-defense. Now, technically, did you murder someone or did you kill them? Yes. But what was the reason is always our follow-up question. So if it's self-defense because he broke into your home and he was coming at you, for instance, another law that shouldn't be a thing is that, I think it's in New York, but if an individual breaks into your home and hurts themselves in your home, they can sue you. I think that's straight bullshit, right? Straight bullshit. You should be able to shoot them on sight, like how Texas has, which is I think it's called a stand your ground law or some shit like that. I don't know. So I think that should be the norm. I think that public executions or public hangings or whatever, right, which is all a form of execution, gun squad, hanging, fucking poisoning, or whatever, right? That's all a form of public execution, but that should all be brought back. Now, how we would do it? Well, we won't. That's the fucking thing. But do I think we should? Yes. What's another one? So, what the fuck have we covered in 20 minutes? We've covered no state taxes, no property taxes, public executions. I just had the fucking thought of one. So public executions, necrophilia, hurting yourself, stand your ground law. I don't remember what the fuck I was gonna say. Why am I drawing such a blank? I never was able to recover that thought, but one thought that I did recover was, I believe organized crime or the mafia should come back. And the reason being is because we still have the mafia, it's just not the same. And the reason being is because in America, the reason that we got rid of the mafia and the thing that helped take down the mafia was the RICO Act. However, overall, what is the argument against the mafia? The argument against the mafia is that they steal, they're murderers, they're whatever, they abuse power, they X, Y, and Z, right? Sure, okay. But watching Michael Franzese and watching Sammy the Bull, Michael Franzese specifically says it numerous times that taking the oath of Omerta is not saying you'll lie, cheat, steal, pillage, whatever. It's not that. It's being sworn to secrecy. Now, the reason that I believe that the mafia should come back is because he said something in an interview one time, or probably multiple times, and indeed, they even say it in The Sopranos, which I'm rewatching. And one of the characters in The Sopranos says, they're talking about where Tony lives. And one of the characters says something along the lines of, I'd love to live in that neighborhood. Or he said, that must be a safe neighborhood, something like that. And so the point of saying that is tied to Michael Francese's point, which was that the mafia made neighborhoods safer because more people were scared of doing something. More people were scared of, oh shit, these people are, oh, that's what it was. It was about bounty hunters. So I'll tie it into the same point. More people were scared of the mafia and doing crime because they understood, hey, if the mafia, if someone tells one of their leaders or capos or fucking consiglieris, or it gets back to one of the soldiers, or it gets back to fucking someone, right? Then at that point, I could be in fucking trouble. And that's where you see it in The Sopranos multiple times. More specifically, I'm only in season 2. I just recently started watching it again. In season 1, AJ, who is Tony's son, his teacher has his car stolen from the parking lot of the school. So they track the license plate of the car, track it to the specific person who stole it, then take that person, beat him and his boyfriend, and then take him to find the car. They find that the car is scrapped and that the license plate was removed and put on a different car. And then they make the two guys go find another car. It's kind of stupid. To go boost another car to return it back to the teacher. So, with that being said, well, one, those guys never stole anything again, right? But you can also believe that, hey, because of what happened, as long as it got word on the street, people probably stopped stealing fucking cars for at least a little bit, right? And so Michael Francese says that the mob made neighborhoods safer because of all that, right? And so it's the same thing with bounty hunters. I believe bounty hunters, just like back in the 16, 17, 1800s, should come back. The reason being is because it's the exact same sort of principle that ties into the public executions, but it's the same principle that also ties into the mob, is that people have to be aware that there are punishments to their actions. Now, obviously, because you stole a loaf of fucking bread, that doesn't mean, hey, there's a bounty on your head. But stagecoach robbery, or train robbery at this point, Grand Theft Auto, fucking whatever, right? All this bullshit, all these crimes that people do is what gets a bounty put on your head. Now, we do have bonds and shit like that now where, hey, if you find someone, you can grab them and take them in and collect a reward like a bounty. But I understand why bounty hunting went away, but I believe that instead of dead or alive, it should be alive, right? But there should be rewards that go out with it. And it's the same shit that happens today. The FBI's top 10 most wanted, right? If you find one of those persons, you will get a hefty reward that comes with it. Whether it's $1 million, $2 million, $500,000, $250,000, $275,000, $100,000, doesn't matter. Whatever it is, if you find that person, give knowledge, someone may come and scoop them, but if you did it yourself, you may die in the process, but at the same token, it's get rich or die trying out here. So that's something I believe. I believe that the mob should come back. Now, obviously, should there be stipulations on it? Yes. Like, it shouldn't be that you can just fucking do loan sharking and fucking sex rings and drugs and prostitution and shit like that. Yeah, sure, obviously have some hindrance on it. But as long as you can get the message across in the neighborhoods of, hey, this person is a convicted sex offender, or this person is a fucking chomo, or whatever, right? Stuff like that. I think it goes hand in hand with the public executions and bounty hunting, so that it's not the wild, wild west again, where we're just shooting people. That's why I'm saying instead of dead or alive, it should just be alive. And then your right of being able to have the plea of self-defense if something were to happen. Like, obviously, if he doesn't want to go down without a fight, draws a gun, and you end up killing him, then yeah, we got to look at it as whether or not it's self-defense or not. So with how much technology has been upgraded, but also how much technology has just advanced, and over the past 2 decades, it's absolutely insane, and you can't do anything without it being either recorded or without it being reported. So I think that that's kind of where our checks and balances comes through. So will there be like a period of time where people are like, what the fuck are these rules? This is crazy. There's maybe a little bit of anarchy in the street? Sure, because there's outrage, there's public outrage, there's people trying to get used to the new rules, shit like that, whatever, right? But at the same time, it's pretty much just like Reaganomics. It's gonna take some time to get used to, but overall, it's going to cause a better future. I think as long as we're able to, like, it could be the same shit as a neighborhood watch, but the thing is that a neighborhood watch doesn't do shit. They just sit, watch, call the cops, that's it. Like, okay, cool. So if anything, you could fucking do the exact same thing with saying, hey, all new homes built past this year need to have a mandatory alarm security system that's put into it that automatically calls the cops depending on whatever, right? Same thing. So so I believe that okay, so public executions, mafia, bounty hunting, taxes, I'm gonna sound uneducated when I say this because I don't remember the exact quote, but in my personal beliefs, I've changed them throughout the years. Originally, I did believe that abortion was wrong, pending certain stipulations, and those stipulations were the exact same stipulations that Trump has on abortion. Trump is anti-abortion, but he's pro-abortion in specific scenarios. And if I remember, those 4 scenarios are if there's been a miscarriage and they just, or something like that, and they have to take the baby out. If the mom can die during birth or by giving birth. If the baby was conceived during sexual assault, or if it was conceived by incest. And for me, I think those are pretty valid, right? However, with that being said, you can't necessarily track that. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just track the fact that, because people lie and women lie a lot too. So you can't just say, yeah, this happened, whatever, right? And there's no police report, there's no evidence, there's no nothing. And we just say, okay, cool. Because so at that point, that's where I believe abortion should just be available, right? Now, I saw this X post by Myron Gaines, and it was about abortion should be available up till X amount of weeks, and there should be no stipulations on that. I'm sorry, there should be it should be entirely private. But past X amount of weeks, it should be illegal to have an abortion. And I agree on the same thing. Like, obviously, if it's almost, like, if it's 5-6 months in, yeah, obviously, like, unless there's that thing of, okay, it's stillborn, or okay, you could die by carrying this, or whatever. I don't think that there should be the inability to be able to have an abortion or to have access to it. Now, do I believe in giving your baby up for adoption versus aborting it? Sure. But at the same time, another reason why I'm more for abortion is because one of my, I guess, controversial opinions is that not everyone deserves to have kids. And so, I've had mixed reviews on this, but once I explain myself, pretty much almost everyone has agreed with me. So certain people will say, well, everyone should be able to allowed to have kids. It's the same shit as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? If having a kid is what you want to do, you should be allowed to do it, right? But then those people that were raised by either shitty parents or in shitty situations, majority of the time they're like, yes, agreed. It's the same thing of not everyone is fit to be able to be a parent. It's kind of the same way of there needs to be background checks if you want to buy a fucking dog or if you want to adopt a kid. I don't think it should be the exact same way if you want to have a kid, but society should more look at it as that way. For instance, there are a lot of people that I've seen that have kids, and especially I've seen their finances with selling them cars, and I go, like, what the fuck? So with that being said, again, not everyone's fit to have a kid. I do believe that, and again, all opinions that I have are always subject to change. Maybe not at any given moment, pending the proper argument, or pending the different life circumstances or anything like that. Yeah, which is what has happened to me over the past few years. But Camry SE, yeah, ain't nothing special about that one. So, with that being said, another one of them is, okay, so, I think a lot of assistances or SNAP or EBT or whatever the fuck they are, a lot of them should be cracked down on and should have their rules modified. One of the rules that was, I believe, recently modified by RFK or by the current administration was that the SNAP or EBT cards, I don't fucking remember which one it was, and I don't know the difference. I thought that they were the same thing, but I may sound stupid with saying that. Is that they were banning the ability to buy soda with on your EBT card, or your, I'll just say EBT card. And I agree with that. The reason being is because if you are going to be someone that, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be someone that needs any assistance, right? Especially if you have multiple kids, which is why we have allowances or certain, why you're able to be approved for higher allowances via the amount of kids that you have. It's the same reason why we give why we give tax breaks to specific people that claim kids as dependents. But I do believe that if you want to live comfortably, you shouldn't do it on the government's dime, right? There was a individual, I remember, it turned into like a meme or something where she was saying like, it was obviously this woke bitch, right? And she was fucking annoying and she was bragging or whatever, right? And she was saying, like, does it annoy you that my rent is only $100 for this house? And does that annoy you? Oh, does it? And she was making fun of people, right? And then she got reported for whatever, and then she got evicted, and her things were taken away, right? Her fucking assistance things were taken away. And I believe, first off, serves her right. She was a bitch. But I believe that the government assistance is exactly that. It's assistance. It's not a new way of living. And in order to cut costs, if you want, or if you're someone that needs government assistance, that doesn't mean that you should enjoy all the fucking things of life, right? So, or all the extras in life. Soda is not a necessity, it's a extra. It is a luxury. Now, in America, it's such a mundane thing, it's more likely to find someone that drinks soda versus water. I'm someone that drinks soda a lot more than water. I drink Gatorade more than water. And you can say that fucking, well, all these things have water in it and whatever, right? But at the same time, like, what your fucking point is? So, if you want, that's like fucking buying ice cream for fucking on the government's dime. Like, why the fuck would I allow you to do that? So, if it's not a necessity, then it shouldn't be something that you have the option to have. And I think that if we were to cut EBT and SNAP out of the picture, or reduce the amounts that we give people per month, the allowances that we give, a lot more people would work harder. Because at that point, it becomes, you want soda, you're gonna have to buy it yourself. And a majority of the time, like right now, I buy 3 packs of soda out, and I figure out where to buy shit, right? For certain things, I go to Costco. For other things, a majority of my stuff, I go to H-E-B. For chicken and primarily for beef, I go to H-E-B. For chicken, I go to Whole Foods. And for fucking certain things, I go to Target for. But for Walgreens, one of the only things I buy at Walgreens is soda. And the reason being is because they have either buy 2, get 2 free. Buy 2 at like $11.99 or $12.99 and get 2 free. So that's pretty much, each soda costs $5 versus it's fucking $11 or $12. Or the one I get a majority of the time because of the options is buy 3 for like fucking like $17.99, $18.99, whatever it is, right? So with that being said, you could do the exact same shit, but you can't tell me that you can't budget $20 a month if you want to do that, if it was that fucking important. Now, obviously, I'm not saying fucking, every single drink that you get, including water, shouldn't be supported. Like, no, water should be supported. Orange juice. And that's it. Like, why the fuck am I gonna allow you to buy soda? Again, like I said, it's like allowing someone to buy ice cream. If you want the extras in life, you have to work to be able to have extra. And I think that the only people that complain about those are the people whose opinions shouldn't matter. Which leads me to my next point. The ability to vote should not be for everybody. And the primary reason that I've gained this opinion is because I've seen those videos on where the entire comment section is like women with like the T emoji, or like this is why women shouldn't be allowed to vote. Same thing with the that podcast. What the fuck did I said it earlier. The whatever podcast. Same thing with a lot of these videos on the internet or on social media, showing people being stupid, and a lot of the time it's specific towards women or specific towards black people, whether them being illiterate or not knowing basic shit. Like that woman that was on the whatever podcast, and she says, sorry, car was pulling up, and she says, north, that's up, right? Or that's above us, right? And it's like, are you fucking retarded? And at that point, why would someone that can't even fucking tell me a direction, not saying like, all right, I'm dropping you in this map, which way's north, and you gotta read the fucking constellations and look at the star patterns and shit. That's different, right? But if you can't say, all right, here's this map, what country is this? And it's fucking Canada, and you live in the United States, and you go, I don't know, Russia. Why the fuck would your opinion matter so much? Now, at the same time, I do believe pretty much every election is rigged, right? And we know this because I also watch a lot of John Kiriakou. And John Kiriakou in the current podcast I'm watching, I don't like the guy. I like John Kiriakou, but this podcast host I'm not a big fan of. He's done okay so far. I just wasn't a big fan of who he was or his material. It's Theo Von. I think that's his name. I just thought Theo Von was a dumbass. And so far he's asking pretty good questions, and he's toned down his stupidness. Right, so in this specific podcast, he's talking about or John Kiriakou is saying about how the Democratic Party is the only party that has super delegates, and I think that's what they were called, and specific to that, they influence the primaries for the Democratic Party. So for instance, in the 2016 election, they influenced it by giving Hillary's advisory team the script or the questions that were going to be asked during the debate when she was up against Bernie Sanders, and Bernie Sanders didn't get those questions, so they favored her and they wanted her to win the primary. But that they've been doing that ever since for decades, and they're the only party that actually has those super delegates, I think is what it was called. And that they did it even back then in 1984 and 1988 with this black guy, I think his name was something Johnson, and that this black guy won multiple debates, but because they were controlling the delegations, they were able to control the standards of moving forward in the debate, and they made it harder and harder for him to win, to the point where it was impossible for him to win, and they made it to where the other person had no option of but winning. And by doing that, they influenced the election, and specifically put a specific individual as the Democratic nominee for president. I think regardless of who votes or not, the election a majority of the time is rigged anyway, so I don't think it's going to do a bunch of shit, right? It's the same thing that Tate said, which was, if someone is willing to cheat on a football game and spy on others, and same thing with fucking Deflategate or whatever, and manipulate things in order to win, they're going to do it for a football game, but they won't do it to be the head of the most popular fucking country in the world. Like, and when you think about it like that, it's like, yeah, I mean, that sounds pretty fucking obvious, right? It was the same thing that Obama's presidency did with Trump, which was also confirmed about the Russia hoax, which was that, and it was also kind of confirmed by Michael Franzese, which was saying that Obama's people went to Franzese because Franzese had a Russian business partner so Franzese was primarily in New York. And back in the 80s, or the 90s, but obviously before Trump was going to be president by fucking 20, 30 years, Trump didn't do he did a specific deal with Franzese because any New York contractor or anyone that wanted to put up a building had to go through the mob. It was impossible to not deal with the mob. And if you didn't want to do it, you didn't get a building because the mob controlled the unions as well. So with that being said, that he was saying that Trump has been targeted for so long, and that even during Obama's presidency or while the 2016 election was going on, they approached Franzese and tried to basically get him to say that Trump was in on the meetings that him and his Russian, Franzese's Russian co-owner or partner, that Trump was working with both of them, and specifically that Russian person who had a brother in like the KGB or some shit, that Trump had worked with him directly, and that they were trying to make the Russia tie there all the way back from the 80s and 90s, to basically say that, hey, he had a history with working with people in the KGB or with people from Russia, so it's not a far stretch to think that he colluded with them to be able to win the election. So anyways, again, I believe that even though I feel the elections are already rigged, I think it should be harder. I think IQ tests should be a part of the elections. I also believe that in order to vote and in order to own a gun and everything like that, it should be much harder to do. You have to be a legalized citizen to be able to be the president. You have to be born in the U.S. I think it should be the same thing for being a voter. In order to vote, you should have to be in the U.S. You should have to be a naturalized U.S.-born citizen. And you should also have a valid ID if you want to vote. We don't allow criminals to vote. We don't allow people that weren't born in the U.S. to be the president, so I don't see why we should allow them to be able to put who they want in power. That should be something that's left for the Americans. I think that with being able to influence certain situations like that, again, with the voting, you have to be from here. The people whose parents, like for instance, if your parents were from Mexico but you were born in the U.S., you should have the ability to vote, but your parents shouldn't because they are immigrants. So, I don't fucking know. Hold up. Don't know why my alarm didn't go off, but I was waiting for it. I paused the video and everything, so whatever. I'm gonna crack open this fucking energy drink because it's already 11, and I've been up for, well, to be fair, I haven't been up long. I've been up for probably 19 hours, 18 hours. Anyways, I got 7 hours left on my shift. I don't think a lot of my opinions are controversial. I think that the problem is that us as Americans and us in the current world that we live in are so unwilling to we're so sensitive that we don't allow even, it's that quote, I don't remember who said it, but it is a quote. It's just saying, to paraphrase, it's saying that by not being cruel to those that are guilty is being cruel to those that are innocent, or by not handing down punishment to those who are guilty of doing something is being cruel to those that have followed the rules and have been good people. Or being unjust by being lenient to those that were unjust is being cruel to those that were just, or some shit. I don't fucking know. Anyways, another last opinion, I don't think that it's controversial, but it is an opinion of mine, is that I believe that, especially on the current job market, it is difficult to be able to get a lot of jobs. Now, do I have that problem? Not entirely, but sometimes I do. I'm able to get all the jobs that everyone my age is kind of working, but it's hard for me to get jobs that can actually not only support my lifestyle, but allow me to have a fucking lifestyle, or to save money. You know, me being in a job that pays me $20 an hour that has all this overtime available is definitely not the same life that a lot of people are living. I make at $100,000 a year at $8,000 a month. Let's just say, because I haven't for the year hit 100,000, right? So let's just say $8,000 a month, because my total income per month has been $8,000, it's been $12,000, it's been $13,000, it's been $9,000, it's been $10,000, it's been, right? It's been this shit. But with an hourly job, this one is the most exceptional one I've had, and it's been $8,000. I don't know a lot of people, especially my age, that pull in $8,000 a month. And if they do, they're definitely not my age. And even when working at Frost, when everyone was 26, 27, I saw people's salaries before, and they were, the highest I saw was 80,000, right? Which, if you divide that, that's not $8,000 a month. That's six. I'm sorry, that's sad. It's like $6,500 a month, $6,700 a month. And these are 26, 27-year-olds. I think that a majority of, I think that college is a scam, and that the only professions that you should need to go to college for are things such as law, being a lawyer, being a doctor, being a fucking engineer, shit like that. A physicist, being in the theories and shit, sure. A job that's going to be very textbook. But I think a majority of jobs shouldn't require degrees, and they should have ground floor level entry things. For instance, in Hollywood, if you want to be a fucking executive at a talent agency, you don't go straight to fucking supervisor or representing talent. You work, well, I don't know about now, but according to Entourage, which again is a fucking 20-year-old show, you start in the mailroom, then you work your way up, and then once you work your way up over a few years, then you can start representing people, and then depending on your success there, you get higher clients and higher billing and shit like that. I think that's right. I think that's how it should be. I think that a lot of positions, for instance, me getting back into banking, I have previous banking experience. Now, do I have 10 years of it? No. Do I have a year of it? No. But at the same time, I did it long enough where I know what I'm doing. Now, should it be hard for me to get back into banking? No. But I've seen personally with me, it's hard to get back into banking. But with other people, with 2-3 years in banking, it's hard for them to get back into banking. I've heard them saying, fuck, I wish I didn't either lose my past job in banking or I wish I didn't leave it. It's hard to get, it's hard for a pimp out here, man. And so, I think that a lot of places shouldn't require experience, or they should be willing to train you. I also believe that, well, I think a lot of other businesses should be run very differently than what they are. I drink Reign Energy. No. Primarily I love Red Bull. I was addicted to Red Bull. I drank 3 Red Bulls a day, 7 days a week. Well, 6 days a week. On Sundays I drink 1 to 2 for about 3 years, which means my Red Bull allowance per month that I had for myself, because I've been working since I was 15, was more than what I fucking put gas in, right? Anyways, I don't know if I have more controversial opinions. If anything, fucking, I was looking at my previous YouTube video, my first YouTube video, and I clicked that. It's like the YouTube AI bullshit, and I had it summarize the video, and honestly, it did a pretty good fucking job where I was reading it and I was like, oh shit, I did talk about this. Oh shit. Oh wow, okay, it's funny how it highlights all this. And then it literally, on my first YouTube video when I talk about going from Chick-fil-A to Walgreens to Frost to working at a Jewish diner, it had that whole thing typed out about from his trials and tribulations, whether financial or whatever, to working from Chick-fil-A, being a team trainer at Chick-fil-A, to then working at Walgreens, and then going into banking, having his car break down right after he got an apartment, shit like that. And I was like, oh my god, it summarizes shit pretty fucking well. If you want me to sound maybe a lot cooler, possibly a lot cooler, have Google AI or the fucking AI thing that YouTube has summarize my videos. I'm getting more and more tired, but I'm like, I got taken off of this post 5 or 6 months ago because I fell asleep in this fucking spot for maybe 15 minutes at 3 in the morning, and someone saw me. And then the next day, it was my first day working here, but it was my first, I had permanently gotten moved to this position, and it was a full-time thing, and it was back in December, actually. And so, next morning, I go to sleep, and as I'm going to sleep, I see all the alerts on my phone, and I got unassigned all my full-time shifts. So anyways, I'm trying to stay up as much as possible, which is also why I'm making YouTube videos. I would love for everyone that watches this video to be able to leave a comment, whether they agree, disagree, which ones they change, even if it's fucking calling me a fucking whack job or a nut job or saying I'm psychotic or shit. Leave a comment, do something, leave a like, subscribe, some shit like that. Y'all are, again, this isn't a vlogging channel, but y'all are in this for as long as y'all are listening to it. I've gotten a bit of support, and I do very much appreciate that. I have a like on one of my videos. I think I have a little over 30 views on my videos now, or on the 3 videos I have out. Or I almost have 30 views, so I appreciate that. And if y'all want more in-depth things, I don't know what's good for YouTube. I don't want to get demonetized. Well, not demonetized because I don't have monetization on, but I don't want to get age restricted or video banned or anything like that. So I try to give as much detail as possible, but I also realize that YouTube isn't Rumble. So I'm going to continue trying to put out content, at least 2 videos to 3 videos a week. I wanted to create videos while sitting down to be able to, again, give y'all more of my attention than I have with driving. Don't know if that's changed my speech or how I tell stories versus when I am driving. If you prefer my storytelling as I'm sitting down or as I'm trying to pay attention to y'all, let me know in the comments, and I will see y'all later. Bye.